Muscle loss isn't an unavoidable part of getting older, it's a direct reflection of the signals your body is or isn't receiving. And this is the part people misunderstand. They assume sarcopenia is something that just happens because we crossed a certain age. But biology doesn't work on birthdays. Biology works on inputs. And for decades, most people have been giving their muscles the wrong inputs: too little high-quality protein, inconsistent metabolic signals, and chronically elevated insulin that blocks muscle growth at the cellular level. Your muscles are constantly in a state of turnover. Even right now, as you sit, your body is breaking down old muscle protein and synthesizing new muscle protein. In youth, the balance is in your favor. You build slightly more than you break down. But as we age, the balance slowly shifts, not because the machinery stops working, but because the machinery becomes less responsive when we stop giving it the proper fuel. Think of it like a light switch that used to turn on with a gentle touch, but now needs a firmer press. The switch still works, you just need a stronger signal. That stronger signal comes from two places: amino acids and insulin sensitivity. These are the two pillars that determine whether your muscle grows or wastes. When you don't eat enough high-quality, bioavailable protein, your muscles simply don't receive the amino acids required to synthesize new tissue. And when you live in a state of chronically elevated insulin, which is tragically common today, your muscle cells become resistant to insulin's anabolic effect. Insulin is often demonized, but one of its most important roles is that it helps shuttle amino acids into muscle cells. But if the cells are resistant, that signal gets lost, the door remains shut, and your ability to build or maintain muscle evaporates, no matter how hard you exercise. This is why sarcopenia is not a symptom of aging. It's a symptom of underfueled and undersignaled muscle tissue. The tragedy is that many people are trying. They exercise, they eat healthy. But because the protein is insufficient, poorly absorbed, or paired with metabolic dysfunction, the body simply cannot respond. And over time, the slow decline becomes visible. Strength fades, balance weakens, fatigue grows, and independence erodes. Not because the body is old, but because it has been underfed the very nutrients it requires to stay strong. But here's the empowering truth: your muscle is listening. Even now, even at 60, 70, or 80, muscle remains remarkably responsive when you give it what it needs. When you provide complete amino acids, especially leucine, you press that light switch with enough force to turn it back on. When you improve insulin sensitivity through smarter food choices, you clear the metabolic pathway so the signals can finally be heard again. And the moment your muscle starts responding, everything changes, strength returns, energy stabilizes. Metabolism improves, aging slows, not because we reversed time, but because we restored the environment your body needs to thrive. You are not losing muscle because you are aging. You are losing muscle because no one taught you how to feed it properly. But once you know, you can rebuild it, starting right now. Eggs are one of the most misunderstood foods in modern nutrition, and that misunderstanding has cost people years of strength, vitality, and metabolic resilience. When I say eggs are the ultimate muscle building food, I'm not speaking in hyperbole. I'm speaking from biochemical reality. The whole egg is a perfectly designed nutritional package, one that sends a clear, powerful anabolic signal to the body in a way very few foods can. And the remarkable thing is that this tiny, inexpensive food does what supplements, powders, and superfoods promise but rarely deliver. It provides the exact raw materials needed to activate, build, and preserve muscle tissue. When it comes to protein quality, not all proteins are equal. Many foods contain protein, but your body can't actually use most of it efficiently. Muscle protein synthesis depends on what we call amino acid availability, specifically the presence of essential amino acids in the right ratios. Eggs provide this in a way almost nothing else does. The amino acid profile of an egg is so complete and so perfectly balanced that it has been used as the biological standard against which all other proteins are measured. That means when you eat an egg, the protein is not merely present. It is usable at a level unmatched by most foods. But the real force behind muscle growth is leucine, the amino acid that flips the metabolic switch triggering muscle protein synthesis. Think of leucine as the key that turns on the genetic machinery inside your muscle cells, telling them, grow, repair, rebuild. Without leucine, even a high-protein meal can fail to activate this process, especially in older adults who often experience what we call anabolic resistance. Eggs contain leucine in the right amount and ratio to overcome that resistance and ignite the muscle-building process. In other words, they provide not only the fuel but also the spark. And then there's the yolk, the part so many people avoid, tragically, because of outdated dietary myths. The yolk is not the enemy, it is the engine. This is where the muscle, supporting nutrients live, B12, which drives energy metabolism, folate and choline, which support mitochondrial function and neurotransmitter health, fat-soluble vitamins like D and A, which modulate hormones and cellular growth, healthy fats that stabilize insulin and allow your body to process protein effectively. Removing the yolk is like trying to drive a car after taking out the battery. You still have the frame, but you lose the power. And we cannot ignore the metabolic angle. Muscle does not grow in a metabolically dysfunctional environment. If insulin is chronically high or your mitochondria are undernourished, muscle protein synthesis becomes sluggish. Eggs naturally support insulin sensitivity through steady, nutrient-dense, low-carbohydrate composition. This means you not only feed your muscles the amino acids they need, you create the internal conditions required for those amino acids to actually be used. So, when I say eggs are the ultimate muscle-building food, I'm not asking you to take my word for it. Look at the biology, look at the metabolic signals, look at the amino acids, the vitamins, the insulin response, the mitochondrial support. Eggs aren't merely a food, they're a message that tells your body it has everything required to maintain and rebuild lean mass. A message that says strength is still possible, a message that can, quite literally, help reverse the tide of sarcopenia when consumed consistently and confidently. Strength is not a privilege reserved for the young. It is a biological capacity that remains available to every single one of us, no matter our age, as long as we give the body the right signals. The most powerful realization you can have is this: your muscles are not passive victims of time. They are active responders to your choices. They adapt to how you fuel them, how you move them, and how you signal them metabolically. And this means something remarkable. Strength is a choice you can still make. Even if you're 50, 60, 70, or beyond, the machinery required to build and maintain muscle is still intact. It's simply waiting for the right environment to show up again. We tend to underestimate how dynamic muscle tissue really is. Muscle isn't static. It's constantly remodeling, constantly evaluating your inputs, constantly asking, is strength necessary for survival? When you give your muscles proper protein, when you improve your insulin sensitivity, when you challenge them even slightly with intentional movement, you're telling your body, strength is still required. Keep building, keep repairing. The body listens, it adapts, it changes even more dramatically than most people expect. This is where the motivational shift happens. Many people believe that once they've lost muscle, they've lost the battle. But loss isn't final, it's simply feedback. Muscle responds incredibly fast once the correct biochemical switches are flipped. A few weeks of consistent high-quality protein intake, a few improvements to insulin control, and suddenly the body begins restoring what was lost. You feel steadier, you move more freely, you stop dreading simple tasks like standing from a chair or carrying groceries. Confidence returns, not because of ego, but because biology responds with extraordinary generosity when you fuel it correctly. And part of embracing this truth is understanding that muscle is not just about strength, it is about autonomy. It is about the ability to live life on your terms. Muscle is metabolic currency. The more you have, the more energy you can produce, the better you handle glucose, the more stable your hormones become, and the more protected you are from disease. When you choose to rebuild muscle, you're not choosing aesthetics, you're choosing longevity, you're choosing independence. You're choosing a life where you remain capable, resilient, and powerful. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming decline is inevitable. It's not. Decline happens when we stop signaling the body to grow. But the moment you start sending the right signals through daily movement, through complete protein sources like eggs, through controlling insulin, your body wakes up again. It remembers what strength feels like. It begins restoring the metabolic pathways that fuel muscle synthesis. Change begins internally long before it becomes visible externally. So yes, strength is absolutely a choice. Every meal where you prioritize high-quality protein is a choice. Every time you avoid the foods that wreck insulin sensitivity, you make a choice. Every simple walk after dinner is a choice. And these choices accumulate not in some abstract motivational sense, but in a real biochemical way that transforms your metabolism and rebuilds your body. You don't need youth to be strong. You need consistency. You need the right nutrients. You need the willingness to send your body the message that strength still matters. And once you send that message, the body responds powerfully, reliably, and at any age. The decision is yours, and the biology is ready.